The sun on planet Vega 9 had not risen in days. The sky was covered with thick smoke from burning wreckage. The human colony was destroyed. Buildings were broken, streets were silent, and the air smelled like blood and fire. Alien warships hovered above, watching for any signs of life. Most humans had already been killed or captured. The aliens thought their work was done, but their scanners showed something strange. One human life sign, weak and deep underground. A team of alien soldiers landed near the ruins of a bunker. Their armor was black, their eyes glowing red behind their masks. They laughed as they walked through the broken doors of the bunker. "It's just one human," one of them said. "Probably injured. An easy target." Another replied, "Let's finish it and move on. We have better things to do." Inside the bunker, under the rubble and dust, lay a woman. Her name was Sarah Khan. She was a combat medic, trained to save lives on the battlefield. She had been trapped for 2 days, running low on food, water, and energy. Her left arm was bleeding and her face was covered in dirt. She looked weak, but her eyes were open and her mind was alert. She could hear the footsteps above. She knew the aliens were coming for her. Sarah reached into her medical bag with her good arm. Her fingers found a small injector filled with a combat stimulant. She pushed it into her leg. In seconds, the pain became smaller, her heart beat faster, and her body felt stronger. She breathed deeply and whispered to herself, "They think I'm weak. Let them come closer." She looked around the small space. The power was out, and the lights were broken. But she still had her training. She used her medical tools and broken wires to build a trap. A sharp bone needle was hidden inside a medical scanner. A flash bomb was connected to a broken helmet. Battery. Everything was placed carefully. She lay back down and closed her eyes, pretending to be unconscious. The alien soldiers entered the bunker, their boots crunching over glass and metal. Their leader scanned the room and pointed to Sarah. "There she is," he said with a grin. One of the soldiers walked closer, bending down to check her pulse. As he touched her neck, the trap activated. A needle shot out from the scanner and stabbed him in the neck. He screamed, then fell, paralyzed. Sarah jumped up, grabbed the soldier's weapon, and shot the second alien in the leg. He fired back, but she rolled behind a wall and threw the flash bomb. The room exploded with light. The aliens shouted in confusion. Sarah didn't wait. She charged forward, punching the third alien with the metal end of a medkit box. He fell, hard, unconscious. Silence followed. Smoke filled the room. 3 alien soldiers were down. Sarah stood in the middle, breathing hard, holding a plasma pistol. Her injured arm hung at her side, but her eyes were full of fire. "Not so easy now, is it?" she said coldly. She dragged the alien bodies deeper into the bunker and took their weapons, ammo, and communication tools. She didn't know if more aliens were coming, but she was not going to die here. She patched her wound using supplies from her kit and ate a small energy bar to stay awake. Her body hurt, but her mind stayed sharp. She used the alien radio to listen. Voices in their language spoke fast and angry. They had noticed their team was missing. Sarah smiled to herself. Now they're worried. She moved deeper into the bunker and started preparing for the next wave. She used broken machines and empty crates to block paths. She placed sharp tools under rugs and made noise traps with cans and wires. She had no soldiers with her, no backup, and no working comms. But she was still fighting. Far above, an alien commander watched the screen and frowned. "Why haven't we heard back from the team?" he asked. A drone showed the image of the destroyed bunker door. He growled, "Send another team, this time be ready." Sarah leaned against the cold wall, eyes closed for a moment. Her heartbeat slowed down. Her body needed rest, but she couldn't sleep yet. She thought of her unit, men and women she had fought beside. Most of them were gone. but their voices stayed with her. "You're the heart of the squad, Sarah," they used to say. "You keep us alive." She opened her eyes and whispered, "To the shadows." "I couldn't save them, but I'll make this count." Footsteps echoed again. More aliens were coming. Sarah checked her pistol, loaded the energy cell, and took a deep breath. She was not a regular soldier. She was a combat medic, trained to heal, trained to protect, but also trained to survive. And now, she was going to make them regret ever stepping into her bunker. The second team of aliens landed near the bunker in silence. This time they were not laughing. They had been warned. 3 soldiers were missing. The leader of the new group, Commander Varnak, was known for his cruelty. He didn't believe in mercy. "It's just one human," he said to his team. "But she's dangerous. Be smart. No mistakes." Inside the bunker, Sarah was ready. She had placed a mirror in the hallway to see around the corner without being seen. She heard the door open again. This time, the aliens moved slower. They checked for traps and scanned for weapons. Sarah smiled. They were scared now. She whispered to herself, "Good. Keep them nervous." The aliens moved in teams of 2, covering each other with their weapons. One stepped on a thin wire Sarah had tied to a metal can. The sound was small but clear. The aliens stopped. One of them pointed forward and they fired at nothing, just shadows. Sarah waited for the right moment. She wasn't strong like a soldier, but she was smart. She knew how people moved. She knew how to hide, and she knew how to hit hard when no one expected it. As the aliens moved deeper, Sarah crawled through a narrow tunnel she had used before. It led to a small side room above where the aliens stood. She had placed a box of tools above the doorframe. When the second alien stepped under it, she pushed the box. Heavy metal parts crashed down. The aliens screamed and fell. The others turned and fired, but Sarah was already gone. She moved through the shadows, fast and quiet. Her heart pounded, but her hands were steady. She picked up a pipe and used it to knock another alien from behind. He hit the wall hard and didn't get up. Commander Varnak finally saw her. "There, she is!" he shouted. Sarah ducked behind a wall as plasma blasts flew past her. One shot burned her sleeve. The heat touched her skin, but she didn't stop. She pulled a small smoke device from her belt and threw it into the hallway. Thick white smoke filled the space. The aliens shouted again, but they couldn't see. Sarah moved fast, using the smoke as cover. She reached the wounded alien and took his plasma rifle. It was heavy, but powerful. She aimed through the smoke and fired once. One alien went down. Now only 2 were left, Varnak and one of his guards. Sarah ran back into the tunnel, breathing fast, feeling the heat of battle in her chest. She knew they would follow her. She wanted them to. She had set her final trap deep inside the old medical bay. There, she had powered up an old defibrillator used to restart hearts, but now connected to a broken alien power core. It was unstable and dangerous. If someone stepped on the pressure plate in front of the door, it would release a powerful electric shock. She hid behind a cabinet and waited. Varnak entered first. His eyes were sharp and his gun ready. He didn't step on the plate, but the guard behind him did. A sudden flash of electricity burst through the room. The guard screamed and dropped, body shaking. Varnak turned too late. Sarah jumped from the shadows and fired the plasma rifle. Varnak blocked the shot with his armor, but the force pushed him back. He growled and threw a blade at her. It sliced her shoulder. Pain shot through her body, but she didn't fall. She aimed again and shot twice. The second shot hit his arm, burning through armor. Varnak ran at her like a beast, roaring with rage. Sarah used her small size to roll under his, swing and hit him in the back with the pipe. He fell forward, stunned. She picked up a fallen alien blade and placed it at his neck. "Don't move," she said, breathing hard. He looked up at her, full of hate. "You're just a medic," he spat. Sarah pressed the blade harder. "Yeah, and you just lost to one." She tied his hands and used his own comms to send a message. "Your team has failed. Stay away, or I'll send back more bodies." Then she turned off the radio. She treated her wounds quickly, wrapping her shoulder and checking her pulse. She had lost blood. Her body was weak again, but she was still alive. And she had won. Again. She looked down at the unconscious alien commander. "You thought I was an easy target," she said softly. "You thought wrong." Outside the bunker, the alien mothership received the message. The room was silent. No one spoke. Another team lost. Fear began to spread through the alien command. One human had taken down 2 full teams. The general on the alien ship clenched, his fists. "This ends now," he said. "Prepare a full assault. No more games." Back in the bunker, Sarah sat against the wall, eyes closed for a moment. She was tired. Her body ached. But inside her, a fire was burning. They were coming. Again. This time, with everything. She smiled. Let them come. Dark clouds hung low over the ruins. Lightning flashed in the sky, but it wasn't a storm from nature. It was the alien warship charging its weapons. Inside the bunker, Sarah Khan wiped blood from her face and looked up. The sound of engines filled the air. They were sending everything now. Sarah had survived 2 attacks. She had beaten trained alien soldiers with nothing but her medic tools, broken equipment, and her sharp mind. But she knew this time was different. The next team would be stronger, faster, and more brutal. Maybe a full army, and she was alone. Still, she didn't stop moving. Her hands worked fast. She pulled pieces from alien weapons, connected wires to old human tech, and set up more traps. Her body was hurting. Her head was dizzy from blood loss, but she stayed focused. She whispered to herself, "One more fight. Just one more." In the control room of the alien mothership, the general stared at the screen. "Begin the final operation," he ordered. "Bring her in alive if possible. If not, destroy her." Hundreds of feet above Sarah, drop ships launched from the mothership. 10, 20, 30 of them. They came down like metal rain. Each one carried soldiers, not just normal troops, elite hunters, armored with thick plates and plasma shields. Their leader was named Zarn, a tall warrior known for crushing resistance without mercy. As the ships landed near the ruined bunker, Sarah heard the sounds of metal hitting the ground. She looked through a crack in the wall and saw them. Many. Aliens moving in lines, weapons glowing blue. They had scanners, drones, and machines she had never seen before. She checked her weapons. 1 plasma rifle, 2 grenades, her knife, and her brain. "I'm not running," she whispered. The first wave came fast. Drones flew into the bunker, scanning for traps. One of them hit a wire Sarah had hidden behind a metal beam. A fire blast exploded, taking out 2 drones and part of the wall. But it wasn't enough. More drones came in. Then the hunters followed. Sarah moved like a ghost. She used the smoke and shadows. One hunter walked past a broken vent. From the darkness, Sarah jumped out and stabbed his neck with a stolen alien needle. The hunter dropped, silent. She grabbed his weapon and rolled away. Another hunter turned and fired. The wall beside Sarah exploded. Dust filled the room. She coughed, her ears ringing, but kept crawling. She had to keep moving. She had to stay ahead. She pressed a button near the medical bay. A hidden shockwave trap triggered. 4 aliens flew back, their armor cracked. Sarah threw a grenade into the open hallway and ran. Boom! The sound shook the floor. Screams followed, but more kept coming. Sarah entered the command room deep in the bunker. It was mostly destroyed, but some old systems still worked. She turned on the defense panel and found something useful, an old turret on the roof. It had one last shot left. She smiled. Using the alien radio, she sent a signal to draw the aliens toward the main hallway. Then, she powered the turret and aimed it straight at the center. As the hunters marched in, the turret activated. The laser beam shot through the air like lightning. It hit the middle of the group, burning through shields and armor. 4 hunters dropped instantly. The rest screamed and scattered. Sarah ran to the back tunnels. She knew she couldn't stop them, all. But she could slow them down. She entered the old cryo room, cold, empty, and dark. She placed her final grenade under the floor grate, then climbed into the shadows above. As the next team entered, they stepped on the grate. Boom! The roof shook. Sarah dropped down from above, landing behind them, and shot 2 more with the plasma rifle. But one alien fired back. The shot hit her leg. Pain exploded through her body, and she fell behind a broken table. Blood poured from her wound. She looked down. Bad hit. Her leg wasn't moving. She pulled out her last stim injection and pushed it into her thigh. Her mind cleared. Her body grew stronger, but the pain didn't fully go away. She crawled to safety, pulling herself with her arms. She reached a hidden door and slammed it shut behind her. She locked it and leaned back, breathing hard. From the other side, she heard them trying to break it down. Sarah looked around. The room was small. No more traps. No more grenades. Just her. Her fingers touched the old comm unit again. She didn't know if anyone would hear, but she pressed the button. "This is Combat Medic Sarah Khan. I'm alive. I'm fighting. If any human is out there, don't give up. We're not finished yet." She let go of the button and looked at the door. It was shaking, cracking. They were coming through. She grabbed her knife. No fear in her eyes. "They picked the wrong human." The door burst open with a loud crash. Pieces of metal flew across the room. Sarah Khan didn't move. She sat on the ground, her back against the wall, leg wounded, breath sharp and slow. Her knife was in her hand. Her eyes were locked on the entrance. Smoke rolled in first. Then came the heavy boots. 6 alien hunters stepped into the room, their glowing armor lighting up the shadows. One of them pointed his weapon at her chest. Another scanned her body with a blue light. They were careful. They had seen what she could do, but Sarah didn't. Attack. Not yet. The leader stepped forward. His name was Zarn. He was taller than the others, his armor darker, his eyes colder. "You are surrounded," he said in a deep, rough voice. "You cannot escape. Surrender now. You are a medic, not a soldier." Sarah wiped blood from her lip. Her voice was calm. "You're wrong. I'm both." Without warning, she threw something at the ground. A flashbang. It exploded with light and sound. The hunters shouted, blinded. In that second, Sarah pushed herself up and tackled the closest one. Her knife went straight into his neck joint. He dropped, screaming. She grabbed his small shield and spun it up just in time. Plasma blasts hit the shield as she rolled behind a steel cabinet. Her leg was weak, but her hands were fast. She pulled the fallen alien's pistol from the floor and fired back. 2 hunters moved toward her. She used the shield to block one and shot the other in the arm. The scream was loud, but short. Another blast came at her from the side, hitting her shoulder. She dropped the shield and fell behind cover again, her heart racing. Pain burned through her body, her leg, her arm, her back, all hurt. But she didn't stop. She opened her small medic bag. Inside was a stim patch and a small shock needle. She pushed the patch to her chest and jabbed the needle into her side. Her body shook, then steadied. She took a deep breath and jumped out. Again! The hunters were closing in. She fired 3 shots, one to the chest, one to the leg, one to the head. One alien dropped. The others spread out, trying to trap her. Zarn watched from behind them. He didn't move yet. He was waiting. He wanted to see her break, but Sarah wouldn't give him that. She dove through a broken wall and slid into the dark tunnel. The aliens chased her, shouting orders. Lights flashed behind her. She kept crawling, limping, breathing hard. She reached an old lift shaft and looked up. The elevator was stuck halfway up. She could climb, but her leg, no choice. She grabbed the cables and began pulling herself up, one hand at a time. Her leg dragged behind. The pain was worse now. She bit her lip until it bled. Below her, footsteps echoed in the shaft. They were coming. Halfway up, she saw a side opening. She swung herself into it and fell hard. Dust rose around her. She coughed and rolled over, looking back. The aliens were still down there looking for her. She had a moment. She crawled into the old lab. It was dark and full of broken machines, but something caught her eye. A power core, still glowing, faintly, and next to it a control panel with ancient wires. Her mind worked fast. She connected 2 wires, tore off the panel, and rigged the power core to overload. If the aliens followed her here, it would explode. She whispered, "Let's see how many of you can survive this." Footsteps came closer. Voices. Then the first alien stepped into the lab. Sarah crawled to the other side and waited. The hunters came in slowly. One of them saw the glowing core. Too late. Boom. The explosion tore through the lab. Walls cracked. Lights burst. 2 aliens were thrown across the room. The rest ran back. Sarah was buried under debris. She pushed the rubble off with weak arms, coughing. Her face was covered in dust, her body shaking. But she was still alive. From above, Zarn looked down. His face was full of rage. He turned to his last remaining soldier. "Send the machines! Enough games!" Outside the bunker, a massive machine dropped from a ship. It was not a soldier. It was a warbot, 10 feet tall, covered in armor, armed with fire and steel. It walked toward the ruins, step by step, like death itself. Sarah pulled herself up and saw the machine on the camera screen. She felt fear, but also something else. Anger. Fire. She whispered, "You want a war machine? You're about to get one." She limped toward the generator room. There, she saw an old exosuit. It was used by engineers, not soldiers. It was rusty and slow, but it could lift heavy things. It could take a hit. And maybe, just maybe, it could help her win. She climbed into the suit. It hissed and locked around her. The HUD came to life. Power, 32%. Armor, active. Manual mode engaged. Sarah's voice was low, calm. "Ready. Let's finish this." She walked out of the shadows, one woman in a broken exosuit, facing a monster. The storm wasn't coming anymore. It was here. The ground shook under her feet as Sarah Khan stepped out of the ruined building. Smoke filled the air. The warbot stood in the middle of the street, its red eyes glowing, its weapons humming with deadly power. Sarah's old exosuit made heavy sounds with each step. It wasn't made for fighting, but for lifting. It was slow, rusty, and half-broken, but she was inside it, and she was ready. Zarn watched her from the alien command ship above. He growled, "One human in a mining suit? End this?" The warbot raised its right arm. A missile pod opened. Sarah didn't stop walking. The missile flew fast, cutting through the smoke. She rolled to the side just in time. The explosion threw her into a wall. The exosuit groaned but didn't break. Sarah gritted her teeth and stood up again. She ran straight toward the warbot, knowing she had only one chance. The bot fired a flamethrower. The fire roared, but Sarah used a broken car as a shield, pushing it in front of her. The flames hit metal and glass, not her. The car exploded, but the blast pushed her even closer to the machine. Now she was in range. She jumped, landing on the bot's leg. Her suit's arms grabbed the warbot's joint and pulled with all its strength. Sparks flew. The bot tried to shake her off, but she held on tight. She climbed up, step by step, toward its back. The warbot slammed itself against a wall, trying to crush her. The suit shook. Sarah cried out, pain shooting through her ribs. Still, she held on. She reached a panel on the bot's back. She tore it open with the exosuit's claw and found wires glowing blue. "Let's see if you like pain," she whispered. She took out a grenade from her belt and jammed it into the wires. She jumped off and hit the ground hard. Boom! The top of the warbot exploded. Flames burst from its back. It stumbled, legs shaking, but it didn't fall. Instead, it turned and roared. Sarah backed up. Her suit was damaged now. One arm wasn't moving, and her power was dropping fast. The warbot raised a plasma cannon. Sarah had nothing left to block it. Then, from the side, something unexpected happened. A shot came from the shadows. The plasma cannon on the bot's arm exploded. Someone else had fired. From behind a pile of rubble, a figure stepped out. It was Private Evans, one of the soldiers she had saved in the early attack. His arm was in a sling, but he held a stolen, alien rifle in his good hand. "Figured you could use a hand," he shouted. Sarah smiled weakly. "Took you long enough." Evans tossed her another power cell. She plugged it into her suit. Lights came back on. The suit's arm moved again. The warbot turned toward Evans, ready to fire again. But this time, Sarah was faster. She charged full speed. Her exosuit hit the warbot like a truck. Both machines crashed into the wall. Metal crunched. Sparks flew. Sarah climbed on top and slammed her suit's fist into the bot's head again and again. The armor cracked. The glowing eyes flickered. With one last punch, she smashed through its control core. The warbot froze, then collapsed. Silence filled the street. Sarah stood over it, breathing hard, her suit steaming. Above them, Zarn watched in rage. "Enough! I will handle this myself." He stepped into a drop pod and launched down to the surface. Sarah barely had time to catch her breath before the pod slammed into the ground. Zarn stepped out, armor, shining twin blades in his hands. Evans raised his rifle, but Sarah stopped him. "This is my fight," she said. She stepped forward, cracked her neck, and stared down the alien commander. Zarn smiled cruelly. "You are brave, but foolish." Sarah answered, "You should have finished the job when I was down." They charged at each other. Zarn was fast, his blades slicing the air. Sarah blocked with her suit's arm, then countered with a heavy swing. The two clashed, metal on metal, sparks flying. Zarn slashed her leg. The suit stumbled. He kicked her hard and knocked her back. "You are weak," he shouted. Sarah stood up again, bleeding inside the suit but standing. "You have no idea what humans are," she said. "We don't give up." She rushed forward again. This time, she didn't aim for his blades. She let them hit her shoulder. The suit screamed, but it held. And then she punched straight into his chest. The hit knocked him off his feet. He landed hard, gasping. Sarah walked up and placed her suit's foot on his chest. He tried to reach for a blade. She crushed his hand. "No more games," she said. Zarn's eyes widened. For the first time, he looked afraid. Sarah raised her fist one last time. The final punch broke his armor and his pride. She stood over his broken body. All around her, the battlefield was quiet. The alien forces saw their leader fall. The ships began pulling back. The war was over, for now. Sarah stepped out of the broken suit, limping. Evans walked up and helped her stand. "You did it," he said. She nodded. "No, we did." And the combat medic, once seen as an easy target, had become a legend. Smoke still rose from the battlefield as Sarah Khan sat against a broken wall. Her body was bruised, her exosuit was wrecked, her hands were shaking, but the fight was over. For now. Evan sat beside her holding a rifle. "They're pulling back. The alien ships are leaving orbit." Sarah looked up at the dark sky. Alien. Vessels were rising through the clouds, moving away from Earth. "They'll be back," she said quietly. Evans nodded. "We hurt them bad, but they won't forget this." A voice crackled through the broken radio. "Anyone alive? This is Captain Reyes. Repeat, anyone alive in Sector 9? Sarah grabbed the radio and answered, "This is Combat Medic Sarah. Khan. We're alive. Enemy commander is down. Sector 9 is under human control." There was a long pause, then cheers in the background. "Copy that, Khan. You're a damn hero." Sarah didn't smile. Her eyes were on the battlefield. So many bodies, both human and alien, lay silent in the streets. "We need evac," Evans said. Sarah shook her head. "No. First we send a message." Evans looked confused. "What message?" She stood slowly, limping to the fallen alien commander's pod. Inside there was a communication device, still working. Sarah pressed a few buttons. She didn't know the alien language, but her HUD translated enough to find the broadcast option. "This will reach their fleet," she said. Evans raised his eyebrows. "You sure that's a good idea?" Sarah nodded. "They thought we were weak. They thought we were easy to conquer. It's time they learn what we really are." She hit the button and began to speak. Her voice was calm but strong. "To the alien commanders who hear this, your leader, Zarn, is dead. Earth is not your playground. We are not weak. We are not afraid. You came here expecting easy victory. You got resistance," Evans added. "And if you come back, you'll face worse." Sarah leaned closer to the mic. "This is just the beginning. You came looking for slaves, but what you found were defenders." She ended the transmission. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the alien device beeped. A message came through. A voice spoke in broken English. "We will remember this. Human medic. You have made enemies." Sarah stared at the screen. "Good," she replied. "So have you." The device shut down. She walked away from the pod and sat down again. Her wounds were hurting, her eyes were heavy, but her spirit unbreakable. Evans handed her water. "They know your name now." Sarah drank slowly. "That's not what matters. What matters is that Earth stood tall. More survivors were gathering nearby. People she had helped, soldiers, civilians, even kids." They looked at her with wide eyes. "She saved us," one whispered. Another added, "She fought a warbot with a mining suit. She beat the alien leader." Sarah looked at them. "No, I just did my job. The fight isn't over. We rebuild, we train, and we stand ready." Captain Reyes arrived minutes later in a dropship. Medics rushed out to help the injured. Reyes stepped up to Sarah. "You're coming with us. High Command wants to meet the combat medic who stopped the invasion." Sarah stood slowly. "I'm not a hero, sir." Reyes smiled. "Maybe not, but you're the reason we're still standing." As the dropship lifted into the sky, Sarah looked down one last time at the burning city. Her home, her battleground. And then she looked up. The stars were still out there. Somewhere in that darkness, more enemies waited, but so did more defenders, and Sarah Khan, combat medic, survivor, fighter, was ready for whatever came next. Because Earth had learned the truth, and so had the galaxy. The easy target had become the strongest shield. The dropship flew through the sky, quiet except for the hum of its engines. Inside, Sarah Khan sat with her eyes closed. Her body ached. Her mind replayed every moment of the battle, every scream, every friend she couldn't save, every enemy she brought down. Evans sat across from her, holding a blanket over his shoulder wound. He watched her in silence. Even now, Sarah didn't rest. "You should sleep," he said softly. Sarah opened her eyes. Not yet. She looked outside. The city below was a broken shadow. Craters, ruins, smoke. But still, lights were turning back on. Humans were rebuilding. As the ship neared the base, hundreds of people stood on the ground, waiting. Soldiers, medics, officers, civilians too. Word had spread fast. The woman who stood against the aliens, the combat medic who fought back when others ran, the dropship landed. Sarah stepped out slowly. Her bandaged leg made her limp. Her uniform was torn. Her hands were still shaking, but she stood tall. The crowd didn't cheer at first. They were quiet, watching her, like they weren't sure if she was real. Then a little girl ran forward. She was dirty, barefoot, but smiling wide. She held out a flower, just one, small and white. Sarah knelt down and took it. The girl whispered, "You're my hero." Sarah blinked fast, pushing down the tears. A soldier shouted, "Medic Sarah!" "Khan!" The crowd exploded in cheers. The sound filled the sky. People clapped, whistled, raised fists in the air. Some chanted her name, others just cried. General Alcott, the base commander, walked up to her. He saluted. "You held the line. You saved the sector. You changed the war." Sarah didn't return the salute. She just said, "We're still fighting." He smiled. "Yes, but thanks to you, we now believe we can win." News drones flew overhead. Cameras zoomed in. Across Earth and every human colony, the images were broadcast live. People saw her, bruised, tired, dirty, but proud. On alien worlds, they saw her too. A lone human, a combat medic, the one who beat their best commander and stopped the invasion. They called her Ghost Hand because she moved unseen through fire. They called her the Iron Heart because she didn't break. But to Earth, she was Sarah Khan. One of them weeks passed. The alien empire did not attack again. Their ships stayed far away. Their leaders argued among themselves. Earth's resistance had grown stronger. And Sarah? She didn't disappear. She trained new medics, not just to save lives, but to protect them. She visited every survivor, every orphan, every ruined town. She didn't wear medals. She didn't want fame. But everywhere she went, people stood taller. One day, Evans found her sitting under a tree, fixing a small drone. He asked, "You ever think about stopping? Just resting?" Sarah smiled. "I rest when we're safe." He sat beside her. "The aliens will come again, maybe next year, maybe in 10. What then?" Sarah looked at the sky. "Then I'll be waiting." And she was. Because Earth had changed. Humans were no longer seen as weak. They were seen as dangerous, brave, united, because of one medic who refused to fall. And so, her story became legend. Told on space stations, in moon colonies, in every. War school aliens would whisper her name when planning attacks. "Is the combat medic still alive?" And every time someone would answer, "She is, and she's watching." The galaxy would never forget her. The woman they thought was easy to crush. The one who fought with nothing but won everything. Sarah Khan, Earth's first legend in the stars.